All right, about to do oil change on my F-150 right here. So we got a drain pan to drain the oil, obviously. We got a oil filter to change out the oil filter. We got a full synthetic 5W20 motor oil. That's what's recommended for this truck. It's a 5.0 liter V8. Should be about 7.7 quarts. I'll go by that and then check the dipstick at the end. I have this oil funnel to put the new oil in because it's a Ford. Normal vehicles need just a different kind of funnel, like the normal standard like funnel, but you know, it's a Ford. Even on the oil cap it tells you what type of oil they recommend. I'm only putting the recommended oil until it gets to high miles. Once it's at high miles, I'm gonna start putting some 10W30. Have some 10W30 here. Yep, full synthetic 10W30. We already put that in the truck over there, the Dodge. Since it's at over 100,000 miles, we're gonna take care of your engines, take care of your vehicle since you put a lot of money into them. So here, let's take off this oil filter, oil reservoir cap, actually. And this is how this goes on. It doesn't lock into place. It's very slanted, but it's a Ford. But all right, I have a little light so I'm able to see. Lost a little sunlight. It's about whatever time in the afternoon, but all I'm gonna do is get underneath the truck and put this underneath the truck. This still has oil in it from when I did a oil change on this beast right here. So gotta get underneath here. So now that we're underneath my truck, the good thing about having a truck is that you don't need to jack it up or put it on jack stands to do the oil change. You just crawl underneath everything. You gotta make sure that stuff isn't hot. This is the transmission right here. This is the pan. And then right here, this is where the plug is for the drain. So you're just gonna position the drain pan underneath. Make sure we don't make a mess. I have to do this in my garage because, you know, HOAs suck. But this thing is still kind of hot. An angle with this. So, you know, this thing is so inconveniently placed. Like, it's so difficult to, like, get your hand in there without burning yourself. Gosh darn it. I think I'm finally able to get it off. Oh, oil's about to come out. That's the catalytic converter. Thing's hot. Oh, no! 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 Oh, no! No! Oh, I hate this thing. Alright, so after that massive fail, we are gonna look for the engine oil filter. And for my truck, it's right here. It's not that accessible, but I'm gonna go underneath here. Oh gosh. We're gonna bring the oil drain pan over here. And I don't know how we're gonna do this. Because that's it right there. This is it right here. So we're just gonna have to make a mess, I guess. Make another mess. Before we get to taking off the old oil filter, we're gonna put the drain plug back on. Also, you want to not make a mess like how I did. And also clean up like this little bar right in front. Clean the oil off of it and clean any oil off of it anywhere else, especially right here. And then I've got the oil drain plug back on. Could start taking off the old engine oil filter. This should not be that difficult to take off. Of course it is difficult to take off, so I'm going to need an oil wrench. I actually might be able to take it off this way. No. Ugh. I hate this. Now that I've finally got this thing loose, it's time to, oh my goodness, it's time to take this thing off. Well, looks like the oil's really dripping there, so we actually know that we're dripping, and it won't get on the floor this time. So we're just unscrewing this one, and the way that this is set up is beyond me, but this is dripping all over the chassis, like, come on. Alright, so we have the new engine oil filter out. Make this so it doesn't fall. Have the new engine oil filter out. But what a lot of people like doing, but what I like to do, especially to help make sure this has a good seal, is just dip your finger in some of the new oil. Open up the thing first. I still have some leftover oil from my previous oil change. So this is how it is. I dip my finger in the oil and then just put some oil around the seal right here. Just put some oil around the seal, not too much, not too little, to help seal it off. Make sure it stays on. Actually, a month ago, my engine was a little too low on oil, or kind of just too low on oil. It wasn't running that well, so you have to make sure you're not gonna cause yourself an oil leak, which could potentially damage your engine if you have too little oil. So you always want to make sure this is sealed up properly. Make sure your drain plug is on completely properly. Can't speak. So you don't run into any issues down the line. And when you go underneath to put this on, you want to hand tighten it only. You should not. You need to use a tool to put it back on. Let's put the new oil filter on. You kind of hand tighten it as long as you can and get a really good, firm, nice twist. Nice twist to make sure it's on there. You don't want it too tight either, because you don't want it to, you know, mess up. And this oil filter, open up the thing. There's a cap right here. Yeah, I'm gonna use a funnel because it's not that easy to pour it in there. Because, you know, Ford has to make everything so difficult. That truck is such a breeze when it comes to oil changes. It's amazing. That truck, it's amazing. That car, I don't know. I can't even find the oil filter for the for the Mustang. Like, the engine bay is so crowded, but and it's honestly a mess. But I'm gonna start pouring this. This is 5 quarts, so the entirety of the 5 quarts is gonna go in there. And then almost 3 quarts of this is gonna be able to go into the engine. And then over here, this right here is the engine dipstick, so we can check the oil level. Once everything settles in, we're gonna check that, make sure it's at a good level, and then we'll be done with it. Also, something you make sure of, I've already started pouring some oil. You're gonna make sure underneath where the oil filter is that it's not leaking any oil, and you also want to make sure there's no oil leaking where the drain plug is. So everything's good. I started pouring the oil. I don't see any drips at all, so we should be fine. I was just gonna wait to clean up until the very end, since I can just get through this process pretty quickly. It also took a long time to get the oil off of my hands, so yeah, it was not fun.